The Young and the Restless, YNR. Spoilers for the week of March 16th indicate that Diane Abbott, Susan Walters, will still be seething from Jack Abbott's, Peter Bergman, betrayal. Will she seduce Victor Newman, Eric Braeden, in the aftermath of it all for revenge? Diane isn't exactly a fan of Victor's, but considering how worried she was over Jack and his kidnapping, only to find him in bed with his ex-wife, psychopath Patty Williams, Stacey Hayduke, Diane will be bent on some vengeance and could turn to Jack's nemesis for payback. The Young and the Restless fans know that Jack was drugged with something during his time with Patty on the yacht. Patty must have slipped a pill in his drink, as Jack became quite groggy once the twosome returned to his room after a nighttime stroll. In fact, even before Patty sauntered into his room, Jack was given some sort of medication during his kidnapping situation to knock him unconscious. While Jack did his best to keep Patty's seductions at bay, he succumbed to her seduction, and the two eventually did the deed. It was more than an awkward situation when Diane, along with Kyle Abbott, Michael Mueller, and Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, burst into the room to find Jack in bed with Patty during their rescue mission. The threesome moved mountains to try to find Jack and bring him back to Genoa City after they realized Victor had kidnapped him. During the Monday, March 16th episode, Diane was horrified at the sight of Jack in bed with Patty, while both Kyle and Billy were just plain disgusted. As Diane had a meltdown, Jack was still too out of it to explain to her that he had been drugged, and Diane couldn't even muster up the words to tell her husband off. She simply laid a slap across his face that could be felt by YNR fans watching on. The Young and the Restless spoilers for the March 17th show promise a bold move from Diane. So, what exactly will Jack's wife do to retaliate? Diane loathes Victor, but she's beyond upset at her husband for what he's done. During the March 13th episode, when Diane, Billy, and Kyle were talking about Jack's rescue, she reminded her son how dark she used to be. Diane also promised she'd ensure those responsible for Jack's disappearance would pay if he got hurt in the process. Diane was willing to do just about anything to bring her husband home, so catching him in the act of cheating humiliated her beyond repair. Victor may have once been an enemy to her, but now that her husband is her target, those feelings of animosity toward Victor could vanish. But how far will Diane go to seek vengeance on Jack? Jack betting Patty was a proverbial slap in the face for Diane because of Patty's history, not to mention the rivalry Diane has shared in the past with the mentally unstable woman. Could Diane decide to dish the same revenge her husband's way by hitting the sheets with the mustache? The Young and the Restless spoilers remind fans that Victor isn't on the greatest of terms with his wife, Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott, so sleeping with Diane might also serve a purpose for him to get back at his wife for what he believes is overconcern for her ex-husband, Jack. Billy's war with Victor is about to consume him, and Sally may find herself receiving bad news that complicates their future. Claire's manipulative side. Claire Newman continues to prove she is her grandfather's granddaughter. In the coming weeks, she will proposition Holden Novak, Nathan Owens, offering to trade secrets in order to gain intel to take down Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver. This move shows Claire is willing to play dirty to secure her position. Nick's spiral. The stress of the search for Jack and the ongoing drama with Matt Clark will take its toll on Nick Newman. Spoilers indicate that Nick will begin to spiral, potentially towards addiction, as he struggles to cope with the pressure the next 3 weeks on The Young and the Restless promise to be a roller coaster of emotion, betrayal, and shocking twists. With Lily Winters returning as a changed woman ready to take charge, Patty Williams forming a dangerous new partnership that threatens Jack Abbott's very existence, and a trial verdict that could lock Mariah away, potentially alongside Patty, Genoa City is a tinderbox waiting to explode. Victor Newman may have orchestrated much of this chaos, but as his family turns against him and his methods become increasingly exposed, the map to his downfall is being drawn. Will Jack survive Patty's trap? Can Lily forgive those who moved on without her? And when the gavel falls on Mariah's trial, will justice be served, or will it simply be the beginning of another nightmare? Don't miss a single episode of the next 3 weeks to see how these explosive stories unfold. The delicate balance of power in Genoa City was shattered on Tuesday, March 17, 2026, as The Young and the Restless delivered an episode brimming with explosive confrontations and shattered loyalties. The fallout from Victor Newman's latest power play reached a fever pitch, but not in the way the mustache had anticipated. While his elaborate plot to kidnap Jack Abbott was designed to cripple his business rivals, it was the emotional aftermath, specifically the revelation of Jack's coerced affair with Patty Williams, that detonated a bomb in the heart of the Newman household. Tuesday's episode number 13337, was defined by three pivotal events: Jack's calculated revenge against Victor, Nate Hastings putting Kane Ashby on notice, and Diane Jenkins making a bold, heart-wrenching move at home. Victor and Nikki's marriage blow-up. The episode's core drama centered on the once unshakable foundation of Victor and Nikki Newman's marriage. For weeks, Nikki had been growing increasingly horrified by Victor's underhanded tactics to regain control of his empire. She had pleaded with him to stop, to trust their family, but Victor, driven by his primal need for control, had instead doubled down. His decision to have Jack Abbott kidnapped and held captive on a yacht with the unstable Patty Williams was the final straw. The tension that had been simmering finally boiled over. Earlier in the day, Nikki had gone to Tracy Abbott, desperate for answers and to offer help, revealing the depth of her concern for Jack's safety and her disgust with her husband's actions. But it was the news of Jack's rescue, and the sordid circumstances surrounding it, that lit the fuse. After Diane Jenkins discovered Jack in a compromised position with Patty, the truth spread like wildfire through Genoa City. Victor hadn't just kidnapped Jack, he had orchestrated a scenario that would lead to Jack's infidelity. While Jack and Patty were both seemingly drugged, likely a small price to pay, in Victor's twisted logic to ensure Jack was sufficiently compromised, the public perception was a devastating blow to the Abbott family. And when Nikki learned the full extent of her husband's machinations, her fury was unmatched. Confronting Victor at the ranch, Nikki was no longer the supportive wife willing to look the other way. She was a woman betrayed by the man she loved, not by infidelity, but by a moral compass so shattered it endangered everyone she cared about. Jack, freshly freed from his ordeal, didn't just seethe in silence. He saw an opportunity. In a stroke of vengeful genius, Jack drove a wedge directly between the Newman power couple. He made sure Nikki understood that Victor's war wasn't just about business, it was personal. He painted a picture of a man so consumed by revenge that he was willing to sacrifice Jack's marriage.